The ruling Hindu Nationalist Party says it will scrap Article 370.
Jammu and Kashmir, oldest unresolved dispute on the United Nations agenda.
The Secretary General has been following the situation in Jammu and Kashmir with concern and makes an appeal for maximum restraint. The position of the United Nations on this region is governed by the Charter of the United Nations and applicable Security Council resolutions. The Secretary General also recalls the 1972 Agreement on Bilateral Relations between India and Pakistan, also known as the Simla Agreement, which states that the final status of Jammu and Kashmir is to be settled by peaceful means in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations.
India's criminal denial of the right of self-determination to the valorous Kashmiris goes against the very spirit of conflict resolution.
देश के सामने 70 साल से एक और बड़ा चैलेंज था, जिसे कुछ दिन पहले भारत ने फेयरवेल दे दिया है। ये विषय है आर्टिकल 370 का।
What is so important about Article 370? It provides Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir with special status. Kashmiris could enact their own laws, have their own constitution and governance rules, which made it different from other territories under Indian rule. And provides them with special benefits for employment and scholarships. Additionally, Kashmiris had the right to own and buy property in the state, which others could not. The Hindutva-inspired repeal on 5th August 2019 of the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, granted under Article 370 and 35A, is proof of India's lack of respect for human rights and any desire for a legitimate resolution of the Kashmir dispute.
Opposition leaders are angry the Indian government has revoked special status for the disputed region of Kashmir.
I am also deeply concerned about the situation in Kashmir, where the Indian government has revoked Kashmiri autonomy, cracked down on dissent, and instituted a communications blackout. The crackdown in the name of security is also denying the Kashmiri people access to medical care. India's action is unacceptable. The communications blockade must be lifted immediately, and the United States government must speak out boldly in support of international humanitarian law.
Indian jurists saw Article 370 as a permanent feature of the Indian Constitution. Since 1996, the Hindutva-inspired BJP has promised to annul Article 370 as a big hurdle to its realization of forceful integration of Jammu and Kashmir into India. The presidential order replaced the word Constituent Assembly of the state with the Legislative Assembly of the state. The Parliament of India can now pass legislation on behalf of the suspended Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly. The governor and appointee of the President of India is not a representative of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The revocation of Article 370 has brought more suffering and anguish for the Kashmiris. Over 950,000 troops on the ground have added misery to the plight of the Kashmiris. And the pattern is not dissimilar to previous years. guns, torture, detention camps, and forced abductions are a daily occurrence. And the valley has been morphed into a Nazi-style prison camp. Each individual has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. And Kashmir has suffered the longest internet blackouts ever implemented. In 2020 alone, internet has been suspended over 55 times. As the world moves towards new horizons of online education and work-from-home protocols, Kashmiris suffer in the abyss of the Stone Ages, cut off from the world. Like the rest of India, COVID-19 has also been a reality in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. However, there has been a serious issue in determining the number of people that have been affected, with internet services unavailable and at some areas even voice calls being unavailable. Kashmiris are unable to stay up to date with current developments and public service warnings regarding the pandemic. Kashmiris fear BJP's use of Citizenship Amendment Act and migration of Hindus and outside population to the state, which will alter the demographics and eventually turn the local Muslim majority into a minority. Article 35A seeks to alter demography by allowing non-residents to buy property and have voting rights. Its purpose is to influence electoral constituencies to reduce Muslim majorities in Muslim constituencies. Thousands of acres of state land is being given to Indian industrialists. Indian citizens who have stayed in Kashmir for 15 years would be granted citizenship. Those who studied in educational institutions for just 7 years would also be eligible for citizenship. 0.6 million migrants and 0.95 million Indian occupation troops would have the potential to turn Kashmiris into an incarcerated minority. Kashmir needs a resolution that respects the honor and integrity of the Kashmiri people, fighting a perpetual battle against India for the right of a free and peaceful Kashmir.